A statement by Donald Trump is offensive and undermines our sovereignty, and is a reminder that our reliance on foreign aid and foreign direct investment surrenders us to the will of imperialists who use money to dictate the economic and policy direction of Africa. We want to make it categorically clear to the President of the USA that we are going to expropriate land without compensation and pursue legislative measures to do so, and no threat will stop us. His misinterpretation of the Expropriation Act, which is a mild and cosmetic intervention, is an assessment of a measure that is going to be pursued through the amendment of our Constitution as South Africans, and there is nothing he can do to undermine our independence. The EFF reiterates its position that we must build state capacity, build a strong agricultural and industrial nation which will not depend on the West, and intensify trade relations with progressive nations such as China, Russia, and nations within BRICS who do not use foreign policy as an instrument to impose their will or bully other nations into submission.
After Donald Trump threatened South Africa with sanctions and cutting aid to South Africa, I expected Julius Malema to talk because he's the most vocal Pan-Africanist from South Africa. And I wonder why people don't give him votes, but that's the story of another day. But in this video, Julius Malema warned Donald Trump not to interfere with South Africa affairs, okay, and Africa at large. And this is the fact that I loved it so much, because he told Donald Trump on his face that you should leave Africa out of your mouth. And this is the thing that the president of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore, has been saying every day. Some foreign countries are interfering with our matters, and that's why he was looking for new friends. And new friends, Julius Malema has mentioned, China does not interfere in Africans' matter. They come in a respect way. Now, this is what Julius Malema said. We want to make it clear to the president of USA that we are going to expropriate land without compensation and pursue legislative measures to do so. No threat, and no threat will stop us. He further criticized the USA for meddling in African affairs and advocating for strengthening relationship with countries like Russia and China, which according to Julius Malema and according to me, Russia and China do not use their financial power to bully other nations, but they do it respectfully. They approach African countries respectfully. Let's watch this video of Julius Malema addressing Donald Trump, and then we'll come back again and try to put some sense on it, okay? I love you guys.
Thank you very much. The EFF policy is the expropriation of land without compensation, and we make no apology about it. It's actually our first non-negotiable cardinal pillar. And the Expropriation Act, as signed now recently by the President, is nowhere closer to that. If anything, it tries to justify the compensation, that properties can be expropriated, land can be expropriated, but there should be compensation, and condition of expropriating such is that there should be, expropriation should be in the interest of the public, for public use and public interest. So it has watered down what we have been asking for, because ours was a complete no-no on the compensation, but equally complete no-no into excluding the whole thing to public interest and public purpose. Because we want to take land and give to the landless, so that they can produce for their own sustainability, but for the sustainability of South Africa and the world at large, because we think it's the right thing to do. BEE, broad-based economic empowerment, it's a policy that should be implemented, whether there is Elon Musk involved or not. It must not be a policy for certain people and a policy for other people. Whatever Elon Musk wants to come and do here, we must make sure there is participation of the previously disadvantaged people. Black people must participate in that transaction. Well, you know, we always put an emphasis that there should be more money into research and innovation if we are to, keep up with the AI. China has got capacity to overtake America because they've invested a lot in innovation and research, and they've come to appreciate that AI is here to stay and it will be with us for quite some time. So it doesn't, take us. It doesn't take anything away from us if we're to put the necessary resources, because our children, despite the fact that they are learning in difficult conditions, they are talented, and that talent needs to be harnessed and channeled in a right direction. A statement by Donald Trump is offensive and undermines our sovereignty, and is a reminder that our reliance on foreign aid and foreign direct investment surrenders us to the will of imperialists who use money to dictate the economic and policy direction of Africa. We want to make it categorically clear to the President of the USA that we are going to expropriate land without compensation and pursue legislative measures to do so, and no threat will stop us. His misinterpretation of the Expropriation Act, which is a mild and cosmetic intervention, is an assessment of a measure that is going to be pursued through the amendment of our Constitution as South Africans, and there is nothing he can do to undermine our independence. The EFF reiterates its position that we must build state capacity, build a strong agricultural and industrial nation which will not depend on the West, and intensify trade relations with progressive nations such as China, Russia, and nations within BRICS who do not use foreign policy as an instrument to impose their will or bully other nations into submission. My view is that Donald Trump is contributing in this debate which is going on. And in the process of contribution, Donald Trump made a similar contribution that were made by white people, all of them, in the hearings, in the public hearings. Donald Trump is not saying anything we have not heard from white people in all the hearings. I even commented and said, I'm still to meet a white person who support expropriation of land without compensation. So why are you shocked? I see leaders of the EFF and everybody responding to Donald Trump. I don't have time for nonsense. I expected this. And more backlash is going to come. If South Africans are not ready to expropriate the land because they are scared of sanctions, they are scared of backlash, then don't vote for the EFF. Because you vote for us, we're going to expropriate land. And Donald Trump will come for us. And Britain will come for us. And the EU will come for us. I said, and I said this throughout my life in the movement, that for everything good comes the pain before. If you're not prepared, South Africa, to take the pain, then forget about the land. Donald Trump has not said anything extreme. Things are still going to come. I hope the Zuma group in the ANC, which is supporting this thing, they know the consequences. We know the consequences. We know that the first response will be killing. They will kill us for that. So we know that death is the first price we are prepared to pay. The second price we are prepared to pay for this land is poverty. They will close taps. But if there is a conviction, and not sloganeering, and public opinions, then we must be prepared for everything. It's a war. We must be prepared for Donald Trump and all of them. We're not scared of them. We remain unshaken. Actually, we are more determined after the Donald Trump tweet to expropriate our land without compensation. There is no white genocide here. It's an absolute rubbish to say there is white genocide. There is black genocide in the USA. They are killing black people in the USA. There is black genocide here in South Africa. Black people are being killed all the time. A farmer has been sentenced to life now recently for having killed a farm worker. Imagine if it was a black person sent life for having killed a white person. It will be news all over. But this black person was killed and a white farmer sent to prison for long time in jail. It's once off reporting and it's done. There is no scientific evidence that points to any white genocide in South Africa. It's not true. And we're not scared of such things. We're not going to be distracted by anyone. Only death will stop us. Not Trump, not poverty, not sanctions. We have all of them in our mind. We know the consequences of what we're asking for. We know it. And it's not like we're going into this thing without knowing the consequences. So AfriForum is the embassy of the USA. If you want issues to reach USA, go to AfriForum. Then you shall get a proper response. But otherwise, AfriForum is nothing to us. We're not scared of AfriForum. We're continuing business as usual. Not that we're not these Twitter revolutionaries who say all sorts of things about Donald Trump. If you had to say to them, all of them, let's go to the US embassy, none of them will come. They tweet from their comfort beds with bed heaters. So we are on the streets. We're fighting this thing on the streets. We are on the picket lines. That's why we're not shaken. We know this is what people want. And if there is anyone who's in this thing without knowing the consequences, then you are in the wrong place.
Welcome back. That was Julius Malema. I love him. A lot of people love him, by the way. Black Americans love him. Africans love him. Caribbeans love him because he's one of the people who is fighting for the real deal of Africa. You know, we have a lot of leaders who fight for themselves. We have a lot of opposition leaders who think for themselves, or they just talk, or they oppose anything. Now, this matter of land is a government matter. And Julius Malema is an opposition of EFF leader from opposition. But he is supporting it because it matters to the people of South Africa. The government taking back the lands is a good move for South Africa, whether no compensation or compensation. I'm saying so because these Boers of Afrikaners, some of them, they got the land legally. But most of them, they got that land illegally. In 1650s, they came here. They did not buy that land from someone. They stole it. They took it from some people. And government taking back the land is a great move. I don't think that no one should complain. Because if we start complaining, then we'll start with Africans, the South Africans, black South Africans. They will start complaining. And that is the real deal, you know? So, Donald Trump, using his financial power to bully South Africa, is a no. And that's what we are saying no to this foreign influence. Africa or South Africa is a nation of its own. It's a nation that can feed USA. It's a nation that can feed Africa. It's a nation that can stand for itself. Bullying South Africa is like bullying the whole of Africa. Bullying South Africa is like bullying Africans. And that just shows me how Trump doesn't care about black people. I know some black people gave votes to Donald Trump. And I personally too supported Donald Trump with words, not votes. Yeah, I did. But he doesn't care. I supported him because I knew His moves will make a lot of African leaders to open their eyes to see what America really think of black people. Of course, the other Congress, Harris was not good for Africa. Trump was not good for Africa. But Trump is openly, he's telling you, you need to stand for yourself. I'm cutting aids to your country. He's not pretending, okay? The other government is pretending to help, but they are stealing and stealing. But this one, they are not pretending. So it's openly, African leaders needs to come out and do what? And cut ties with him and start manufacturing their own, start depending on their own resources, okay? South Africa as a state, one of the richest countries in Africa, can't be bullied by USA. That's what Julius Malema is saying. That's what Julius Malema is saying. And that's what Ibrahim Traore has been saying. We need to have sovereignty of our own nations. Cutting aid does not mean that we are going to die. Cutting aid means that it's time for us to start doing our own things by our own self, fighting our own battles without depending on anyone. You see how other leaders are crying, corrupt African leaders crying. Oh, they have cut US aid. Oh, you need to reconsider. What are you reconsidering? Trump, do not reconsider. The move you are make, just do it. Do it. If you want to do it. Because we cannot continue as African countries depending on the aid from your nation. We can't continue depending on the aid from US aid. We cannot continue depending on other nations to grow. And yet, they are bullying us. They do not respect us. They don't care if we exist. All they care is they are giving money to us. So we need to follow everything that they are saying. I know I'm young. I've not seen a lot of things. And I wasn't there during Jim Crow law. But I know what South Africans, people, black South Africans have gone through in the hands of Jim Crow. I know what black South Africa, I have read and understood what black South Africans have gone through during apartheid. Now, black South Africans, most of them are poor simply because they were denied to access generational wealth. They didn't grow generational wealth because their land were taken away. The jobs were given to other race. High-paying jobs were given to other race. And this led them to be poor. Generation of poverty. Simply because in 1650s, 17s, there's some people who came and took the land forcefully. Now, it's just the time that the government is waking up. And they are calling him evil. Ramaphosa, they are calling him evil. I know, at some points, I don't agree with Ramaphosa. I am not fully supportive of Ramaphosa. But if we come about to things that is concerning the human beings, if you come to things that are concerning the citizens, if it comes to things that is concerning black people, if you are fighting for the black people, if you are fighting for the Africans, then you have the support of all the people, Pan-Africanist, Africans, black Americans, and everyone. Now, taking back these lands, some are saying that we said black people are uncivilized, and they are playing victim on this. You ain't the victim. I know white South Africans, we have a lot of them, good people. But the system is trying to put bad on you. I know there is white South Africans, a lot of them, acquired land legally. But for those who acquired land illegally, yeah, Trump just gave an upper hand to you, to some South Africans, be refugees in USA. But they declined it because they know USA is no longer the land of dreams as we all been thinking. The land of dream is Africa. And that's why they want to remain here in Africa. Okay? So, Julius Malema spoke it bright, clear, and openly. And that's what all African leaders should support. Yeah, they should support. And we need to repossess land from fake owners and give it to the rightful owners. In Kenya, Ghana, Rwanda, Tanzania, there's some people who took land illegally. And let me tell you, if you own a land, you own a country. And that's why some people are fighting so hard to take these lands from the people because they want to own it. When you own a land, you will control food. When you own a land, you will control settling. When you own a land, you control everything. So if a government has decided to be open and fight for its people, black people, Trump, you should not come in between, simply because you're fighting for your own people, and we respect that. But who are you fighting for in South Africa? These white South Africans, they are South Africans. Just like black Americans, they are Americans. These white South Africans, they are South Africans. So they know the law and they accept with it how it is. Something that we will not agree as black people is to have the history of killing each other. That's what we condemn. I know the other ones, maybe they have the history of blah blah blah, but we don't want to be like them. We want to be like us, the leaders, the people who lead these nations, the first people to be on the face of the earth, fathers and mothers of everyone. That's what we want to be. But Trump has got it from Julius Malema, and I loved it. It started way back, 7 years back. Donald Trump talked about the land and Malema answered him. Again, it's happening now. So it's high time for Africans to wake up. When Africans have woke up, they will understand what Trump is trying to do. It's not helping. So cutting the AIDS as Africans, we should not cry to our tears like, oh, Trump has cut. No. We should ask our government to provide because we are paying taxes. Okay? Now it is time for the governments in African countries to show that we have capability. And that's all on to us, the people. We need to choose good leaders so that we cannot suffer. Okay? Tell me what you think on the comment section about this video. I have some headache and, but we'll meet on the next episode. Trust me. Peace.